All right, let's talk about the things that predict breakup and divorce with 90% accuracy. This is obviously a massive problem. If there's that much of a correlation and we want to have happy relationships, we should probably stop doing these things. Now, I'm not going to get into too much of an intro here. I just want to walk you through it all. But if you want to learn more, you can learn it from the Gottman Institute, John Gottman himself. He's got a few books, that one included. But let's break down the 4 things that predict breakup and divorce with 90% accuracy. The first, criticism. Now, by criticism, I mean any sort of words or behavior that are fundamentally critical of your partner's actions, or even worse, of their character. It's saying, oh, why are you so lazy? Why do you think about no one but yourself? Why do you keep making this mistake? Oh, how are you so stupid to do something like that? Any verbiage like this, which is essentially critical in nature, especially to that individual's character, is going to be coming under this category of criticism. Now, this is obviously a difficult thing to navigate in your relationship, because there are going to be times when you have to say something that is difficult and that can be personally offensive. Perhaps if there is some kind of a behavior which you aren't too happy with and you want to put an end to. The thing with relationships is that you get what you incentivize, right? So if you're constantly criticizing your partner for who they are and the characteristics of themselves rather than attacking the behavior itself, you are going to disincentivize connection and trust and loyalty with your partner. They're going to feel like they have to walk on eggshells around you. And guess what? They're going to feel like in order to defend themselves, they have to criticize you back. It just creates this punching match that never ends anywhere good. And so if you want to have a thriving relationship and you do have these sorts of problems, you have to get good at approaching the behavior itself rather than the person who's doing the behavior. So rather than saying, I hate it when you do this, when you leave the dishes out, when you talk to me like that, say, I feel frustrated, I feel neglected, I feel whatever it may be, X, Y, and Z, when X behavior happens, when the dishes aren't done, when we don't spend time together without being on our phones, when we aren't present, when we talk to each other in a critical nature, right? So you aren't using you language and saying, you have to do this, why did you do that? Rather, you're saying, I feel this certain way when X condition happens or when X behavior happens. You want to avoid using the word you and instead use the word I, what I need, what I've noticed, and what I would like moving forward. So that's the first one. Now, the second one is one of the most dangerous, and that is contempt. Now, contempt is all about either consciously or unconsciously projecting some kind of moral superiority. It's saying you are beneath me and I am superior, I am right, I'm smarter, I'm whatever it is, I'm more capable, whatever, I'm right, you're wrong. Now, this comes out in so many subtle ways. It comes out in the eye rolls. It comes out in mocking and being sarcastic. You're leaving belittling comments. You're acting in a way that essentially gives off the vibe that you are beneath me. And look at me, I'm superior, right? I'm so smart, I'm so right, whatever it may be. Now, this is obviously, again, a super dangerous one, because this is subcommunicating to your partner that I do not respect you. I believe that I'm better than you. I see you as inferior to me, and therefore I'm treating you in a way that makes you feel like you are small. Without even having to go into the details of this, you can understand why this would be so toxic and so belittling for your partner. And so, again, you have to approach your partner from a position of mutual respect. I see you as equal to me. I don't see either one of us as superior, more valuable, more worthy than the other person. In fact, I see both of us as having this equity in this relationship. And that mindset, that perspective will subcommunicate through every single thing that you do, every conversation that you have, every complaint that your partner has, every thing that they vocalize, right? You're not going to belittle them or be sarcastic or mocking or make jokes at their expense, especially in front of other people. Instead, you're going to have this unconditional respect for them, because as your partner, that is what they deserve. Now, moving on to the next one, what we have is what is known as stonewalling. Now, stonewalling, as the name suggests, is all about creating a wall between you and your partner emotionally. It's cutting them off in conversation and saying, I don't want to have this conversation. It's giving one-word answers. It's giving them silent treatment, just telling them that you don't want to have to deal with them right now. Again, it's creating an emotional wall between you and your partner and making them feel that you don't really care about them. Because if you did care, you'd be willing to have the uncomfortable conversation. You'd be willing to face their concerns head on and address them. You'd be willing to actually do the hard and uncomfortable thing, which is discussing things that need to be discussed or talking about things that have to be talked about. And so, as you can obviously see, the reason that this is so toxic and so, I guess, predictive of divorce is because, again, it's telling your partner, I don't care about you enough to have this conversation. I don't care about you enough to be uncomfortable and to be vulnerable and to resolve whatever it is that's in between us right now. Instead, I would rather be avoidant. I'd rather put a wall between you and I and just hope that we can both forget about it and that things will go back to normal. Now, this is a sign of someone, again, with an avoidant attachment style or an inability to communicate, someone who lacks the ability to empathize with their partner and understand their needs and be willing to be vulnerable and have that conversation about whatever it is, whatever the problem may be. You have to develop this ability to humble yourself and to speak about these things and to be vulnerable, because having these vulnerable conversations and navigating conflicts, it's a vulnerable thing to do and it's a difficult thing to do and it requires emotional development. So, of course, this is the third last one. Now let's get into the final one, which is defensiveness. Now, defensiveness is all about hitting them with the Uno reverse card. When your partner comes to you with something and you go, oh yeah, but what about that time that you did that? Or I only did that because you did this. Or they complain about their day and you go, oh, if you only knew about my day, you wouldn't know the half of it. You know, it's always hitting that Uno reverse to put you in the position of the victim. It doesn't give your partner the opportunity to vocalize anything. And worse yet, it incentivizes them again to not vocalize things and to be dishonest with you and to hide things from you out of fear that you're just going to hit them with the Uno reverse. There is nothing more invalidating than when you or your partner tries to vocalize something important to them and they're hit with, oh, well, I don't care because imagine how I feel, you know? And again, this really comes down to having emotional development, enough emotional development to be present and to listen and to sit and to hear your partner without having to jump to conclusions about how, oh, this is a personal attack. Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, I need to, flip this around so that I don't feel this guilt that's inside me right now. It's about being able to be present with what has happened. And if you've made a mistake, that means you have to own up to it. You have to apologize. You have to humble yourself in that situation to, again, allow your partner to see that, hey, I'm with someone who can own up to their mistakes, be honest, and, ultimately create space for me to communicate honestly as well without becoming defensive. This is how all arguments descend into chaos. And so if you would like your relationships to thrive, you really need to cut these patterns out. And again, this can be coming from the man or the woman. I've used the man in these situations because I've made these mistakes and I want to be honest enough to show my experience through these lessons. But again, you need to see and spot these as soon as possible and cut them out, because as we've seen, these 4 behaviors predict divorce with 90% accuracy, especially contempt. This is the one that's absolutely going to put the nail in the coffin for your relationship, because again, it's built on the foundation of a narcissistic and selfish attitude. And relationships are a partnership. They're not me versus you. They're not me in my life and you in your life, and we're just kind of doing our lives side by side. No, you guys are coming together as a unit, and you have to have that healthy interdependence that allows this entire thing to thrive. And so if you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll leave a link to my Instagram down below if you want to see more short videos like this. But with that, I will see you in the next one.